Toni. One sec.
Yes.
3, 2, 1. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of It Doesn't Happen Overnight. I'm your host, Toni and I'm here today with Dillon Daniel Mutyaba.
Yeah.
I said it right. I'm like
Mutyaba.
Mutyaba. And we are here just to talk about, once again, our passions and kind of how we're working every day towards them. So, Dillon, do you want to start with a little bit of background about yourself?
Yeah. So, I was born in Uganda, Kampala. I moved to the States when I was 8 years old. And when I first moved to the States, I started school in 4th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I knew I wanted to be an actor. Because my 4th grade teacher had said, it was hard for me to settle into America. The lifestyle was so different for me, coming from Uganda.
Mm-hmm.
So she had recommended that I join the theater department. So
why was that? Just to...
I think I struggled making friends. I struggled fitting in because it was very weird for me to come from a life that I already knew to a complete, like, Arizona was a completely different world. So I was more of like a loner. I was just like shy.
Mm-hmm. Natural.
Yeah. Like naturally you would just be like introverted. And I'm a Virgo, so I'm also like still introverted. And I think she saw that and she's like, just audition for the theater school department. So I did. And I think that was just a way of like breaking my shell. And then luckily I found out that acting was something I wanted to do for like the rest of my life.
So you knew when you were 4th grade what?
I was 8, 9.
Like literally 8, 9?
Yeah, and that's all I've done ever since.
No way.
Just acting, yeah. So I was just like, this is it. And I think it's because like, for some reason, I just found myself enjoying being on stage.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up watching like Jim Carrey and like Eddie Murphy and like Steve Martin. So like playing those types of characters on stage.
Mm-hmm.
And I played the Grinch at a young age, and I'm like, oh my god, this is like so.
This is the coolest
This
thing
is the
ever.
coolest thing. Can we cuss on this?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, okay. Because I'm really trying to bleep myself out. But I cuss a lot sometimes.
No, we can. We are talking as I swear all the time. Like just fuck it. And not like it's hard to intentionally swear. It just happens naturally. So do you, like, was it the fact that you were like, what do you think you fell in love with the most? Like, what really attracted you to it? Was it like the playing of different characters, or was it like the getting to immerse yourself in another role?
I think it was both of those, actually. I think it was mainly playing different characters. Mm-hmm. There's something exciting about like being able to step into a character that's like far different from you, and then finding yourself in there and making that like as real as possible.
Like
authentic. Yeah. Like when I had first seen Jim Carrey, I think the first film of his I saw was The Mask, and he just played this like really eccentric character, and I was like, well, that's really cool, but it's so grounded and real, and I was like, that's something that I want to do, to be able to just play like these wild characters but have them just be so relatable to you, and I was like, that's the coolest thing.
I feel like the best actors to me are the ones who you just believe it all the way.
Yeah.
Like it's like, like I feel so interested in a movie when I can see the actor playing the role.
Yeah.
Like it just takes me out of it so much.
Yeah.
So I feel like the authenticity portion of it is like what, when I see a good movie, I'm like, that was
what
a good, like, because I believed it for whatever 2 hours it was. Like, I believed everyone's role.
Yeah, and that's crazy because it's one of the hardest things. A lot of people think acting is so easy, but because people really say that. They were like, oh yeah, I can be an actor, but they don't really take the training that it takes to be an actor. Mm-hmm. So when I was in like doing acting school, I just found myself just like mesmerized, and then it's really, acting is like the unveiling of who you are.
Yeah.
Like the truth behind who you are, and it's like can be a scary thing, but it also can be a very exciting thing.
I just had Kennedy Edmonds on the show, who is a showrunner for someone who is a showrunner for a lot of shows at Amazon, and he was talking about when he was taking acting classes, how the school really was like the main focus was breaking down all of your walls. Because you need to be able to go into all these different characters, and if you're blocking yourself because of whatever vulnerability or insecurity you have, like it's way harder to like do that. Yeah.
It's really about being a vessel for the work, and once you're a vessel for the work, that requires digging into your past or into your imagination and thinking of situations that this character might have gone through. But mostly it's like going back into your past and like pulling from that. So whenever I like research for a role, I always come back to like a single theme that I find really interesting. Is just like when I write out my character bios, it's always about like my dad being gone. So it's like that's always like a thing that I always
come back to no matter who you're playing.
Yeah, because I mean I grew up without my dad. He's still in my life, but I grew up without him. So it's like a theme that I think I still always try to like get over in a sense. So yeah. And
you have, it's so interesting.
Not get over, but just like, to like therapeutic in terms of like, I always connect the characters to this past. Yeah. There's always something that's there that's I think is still trying to
And can you kind of explain, I've done a little bit of acting, but like for people that maybe haven't, or even myself, like writing the character bios, that's something that you do when you get a role to kind of immerse yourself in it more?
Yeah. So say you book a role, if you're going in for audition, you really just sit down and you write the character bio from the day they were born to the day they're at in that like screenplay or whatever. So you really have to have a full grasp of who this person is. So not just like, you know, it's when they were born, or their favorite color, or just who their grandpa was, like
all what the things that we know about ourselves and other people, like this character presumably also, to make them authentic and real, they also have all these things.
Yeah. So it's not even anything that you will hear about in the script, but it's just something that you're like, you personally feel like, oh, I understand this character. I know where this character is coming from.
So. It makes them more real by adding more color than just 25, African American male. Yeah. Like, it's like, because you get like the description for character, but it's like, people are way more developed than a little blurb.
A little thing. Yeah. And it's so, it makes them so much more three-dimensional. Yeah. Because most of the time, before I used to go by Dillon Daniel. And when I went by Dillon Daniel, I got a lot of roles for like the quarterback, or just like the really just generic African American dude who's the jock or whatever. And I found those roles to be very just like one dimensional to me. So they're just like the jock kid, you know, there's not much to him. But when I added my African name back, all these roles started coming, that auditions that were like three-dimensional African characters.
That's so
Isn't
interesting.
That crazy how that works? Yeah.
Just your name change.
Just my name change, and that's how Hollywood works.
That's I was gonna say it's that superficial thing that like, ooh, this guy, what's his story? Mutyaba.
Because whenever I went by Dillon Daniel, they would never send me any auditions for African like roles. Yeah. And once I put it back, it was like as soon as I changed it on the acting website where our agents submit us, the next 4 roles were just like African, and they were great because, you know, they were just like rich story. That's story so driven.
Interesting. I would have never guessed that.
That's how Hollywood works.
It's all kind of typecast. I mean, like you want to like, you're gonna pick a pool of people to audition, and you're gonna try to pick from the small information you have about them, their headshot, their name, whatever. So it all adds into that enormous information pool, and it's it makes sense that that's kind of what it came to. But I would have never
which is fine, because now I feel like I enjoy the roles that I get that are more African based, and now I still get American roles, but it's like I find myself more comfortable with the African roles, so that's always exciting. But the weird thing was that when I first, to tie back to when I first moved here, I had a struggle fitting in between like what it meant to be African American in America and what it meant to be like African.
It's different.
It's very different.
I'm first generation because my parents moved here, but I like have never felt fully a part of like Black American culture. And I'm like, I know what people see me as and I know what the world sees me as, but I know the sphere that I fit into and like how my household was, and it was like very Nigerian. I grew up very, very Nigerian in my house, and then very American everywhere else.
Yeah. And I don't like. It's hard to pinpoint what makes a person, I guess, because people. I don't know if people said this to you, but they would always say this to me as a kid. They would say, "You just don't act Black enough." You know,
I have so many videos about that.
Really?
Yeah, like that's like a lot of videos on my channel.
Yeah, and I'm like, what does Black, you know? And I guess there is a stereotypical.
Yeah, I mean that was my experience completely, and it was just like the fact that I would constantly be called an Oreo, which is black on the outside and white on the inside, and I was like, what about me is white? Is it the way I talk? Because that means you're saying that Black people can only talk one certain way, which is racist, not true, really stereotypical. It's like, and I kept getting pinholed in these like, oh, like, I have all these white characteristics. I'm like, no, I'm Toni. Like, I'm all of me is how I am, and it just became this weirdly racial thing.
Yeah.
Where some of my physical characteristics were Black, and basically everything else was white. But
yeah, people would say you act white. And I'm like,
what do you mean?
And I'm still, you know, because I had gone out for an audition where I had auditioned for Tupac, the biopic. And I sent the video to my manager at that time. And she said to me, she's like, you know, you... And I think she was trying to put this in a nice way, which is always... But she's like, you just seem a little too educated. And I was like, well...
Whoa.
I was like, well, if that's not another way of saying, you know, it's very hard for you.
We can unpack that for a whole podcast. I'm like, part 2, continue. I'm like, whoa, no way.
You know, it was one of those things where it's like, well, you know, Black person can still be educated, but it was one of those things where like, yes, I know you're trying to tell me that I don't fit into this stereotypical role of being a gangster, but it's like, you know, it's one of those things. It's one of those
it's like, yeah, if you're thinking about this character in a one-dimensional way, you may go to the first stereotypical jock, just like those type of things, but it's like, oh my gosh, people are so complex. People of all colors are so complex. Black people are so complex.
I think because Hollywood has an idea of what a Black person looks like. So if you don't hit those standards, you're like,
and what movies and roles Black people can get.
Yeah.
Where it's like, when you think of Harry Potter, none of the main characters were people of color. But then when you think of the Cursed Child, which is the Broadway play, and they made Hermione Black, everyone freaked out.
Oh yeah, that was a big uproar about
that. And people are like, you can believe in magic and trolls and Voldemort, but you can't believe that Hermione could be Black. Like, it's just like, they were like, no, they couldn't. Yeah. That's what it came down to.
And that's what happened with The Little Mermaid, where people were like,
yes!
And I was like,
it's a mermaid!
It's not real. There's a mermaid. A mermaid can be Black first and foremost. But I think it's about breaking down those barriers and telling people that this is not like, it's still one of those things that's very just like hits hard when people say.
We were having a conversation about this before we started recording, and it was kind of just like, when you see a big reason why actors start writing is because they see a gap and they're auditioning and they see a gap in roles. And like, for my sister's book, she wrote this book because she was like, there are no like Black people in any of these fantasy or mythical or magical or otherworldly genre. Like, it's like, there's none. That's just not a thing. And she's like, I want to write it so that it becomes a thing. And like, it becomes a thing where you see these gaps, you see these just kind of like systemic like issues, and then hopefully have some autonomy to help create that for both yourself and the other people coming after you. Yeah. So there's less and less of that gap.
And it opens up so many doors. It opens up so many doors in people's like creativity and inspiration, because that was one of the things that like sparked my inspiration, was that I was like, I haven't seen like a medieval film with a black knight. Like, you know, you have, what's the one with Mel Gibson?
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about? Braveheart.
Yes.
Braveheart, and, like, people like Troy, like, all these medieval knights. I'm like, I've never seen a black one who has that speech at the end, rounding up his troops to go into that battle. So that's why I started writing like a medieval script. That's one of the things I've like been working on. It's like, I don't see that.
It's like, so let me write.
Like, let me think. And I think even like with your sister's book, she's opened up so many doors for other people who have, you know, now it's name drop. I was talking to it was a name drop.
Please name drop.
Name drop. I
was talking to somebody. Rhymes with Honda rhymes.
Barack Obama. I was talking to George R.R. Martin, creator of Game of Thrones, and we were talking about how African futurism has opened up. Now, how so many stories about African futurism has opened up, and how we need those types of like mythical stories that have been like hidden before. So it's like, yeah, people are starting to realize that these types of stories are wanted in our industry.
Yeah, because there are none of them. There's
none.
Yeah. There's at least two.
Yeah, I know there's
sorry,
two.
There's not none, but like there
now.
was literally zero.
Yeah.
Like you look at Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, go back and all these huge world building, and none of the worlds included prominent people of color.
Yeah. And so many, it was like the African stories were missing. So I think we have opened up this floodgate of just African stories to be told, and beautiful African stories to be told. So that's just like, oh.
I feel like we just went into we could have gone into 7 different podcasts in this one conversation alone. But I guess kind of zeroing back in on your role and what you've been doing, like what does an average, I'll say, I know it's going to vary from project to project, but like what does an average day or week, or if it helps to even go further and say month of an actor look like? At least for you, like, what does that look like?
Rejection. Rejection. I think most of the time it's just, I would say a day, actors, if you're not a working actor, you're still like a struggling actor. It's just...
And by working actor, you mean like book a particular
like you're
role?
Working on a show, you're a series regular on a show. So that you have like set aside, you're good.
You're good.
Yeah. Struggling actors, which is 99% of LA, is just like either, you have your 9 to 5 or you're working at a bar. And in between those, you have moments of opportunity where you get auditions from your agents or managers. So, you're working, you're grinding, and then you get this opportunity. You go out for this audition, and you pretty much either get rejected or wait to hear back. Or if you get that moment of hope, you get booked. And it's just a roller coaster of going through that. So mine is just like, I work every day. And then when I get those moments of auditions, I go in for the audition, and then, past 10 years, it's just been rejection after rejection. But
you've gotten some things.
I've gotten some things, but I think I was just always so clear about where I wanted to go in my career and what I wanted to do. And sometimes not seeing it so early on, because I started when I was 14. I started auditioning in LA when I was 14. So having that standard of things, I'm like, I would look back. I still look back now, and I'm like, God, like, it's been such a long time,
Yeah.
guy. Like, what is happening? And you begin to question yourself. You really begin to question your talent and like, well, should I do something else? And it always goes back to the same thing. I was like, I wouldn't know what else to do.
When
This
you're
is
doing
all
the
I've
thing
known.
that you know and you know it because you love it and you loved
just
it
love
so
it.
early
Yeah.
on.
It just you can't escape
It's hard to step off of that dream pedestal.
Yeah.
Even if you're still reaching for it, it's like at least you're at the highest step towards that goal. It's like the minute you go to something else,
you lose.
It gets further away.
Yeah, and that's the thing I always remind myself, because it's like there are always like glimpses of hope.
Mm-hmm.
You know, small little things you can pick at that most of the time it's just like struggling to, you know, find yourself getting through rejection, you know, crying yourself.
A lot of
Lots
tissues.
of tears and tissues and crying myself to sleep. But you know, it's hard. You know, we were always like trying to grind and like find a way to, you know, make our life what we always envisioned it to be. So I think that's always the hardest thing. Is like looking at where you're at and you're like, oh shit, I'm not anywhere close to where I want to be.
But also, I feel like one of the things that keeps people in this industry going is it only takes one yes. Like, literally tomorrow could be the audition that becomes your starring role, and there's 8 seasons. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it could just be one audition away.
That's all it takes.
Because, like, in a normal, more traditional 9-to-5, there's a 2-year promotion cycle. And so you know every single day exactly where you are along your next promotion.
Yeah. And yeah, the thing is, like, you go into the auditions and you kind of, like, go in hopeful, like, oh, this might be the big break that I've been waiting for.
Which is why every rejection hurts
so much. But, you know, I've learned that after each rejection, it gets a lot easier.
Yeah.
Now I'm used to it.
It's a part of the job. It's as a part of the job as everything else.
Yeah. You get so used to it, and I think it's one of those things that builds character.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like just like in terms of life, if you are rejected or just constant conflict builds character. Yeah. Builds who you are. So I think it's building a character. Hopefully.
Building a character.
My mom would be proud of.
So you also said, because we were talking before we recorded, you were like, you were doing stunt work today, you do stand-in stuff. So there's like different sort of work you're doing in between these overall auditions or waiting for these next roles.
Yeah, and luckily most of the time it keeps me on set. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, if I'm doing stand-in work, I'm either standing in for, I stood in for John Boyega once. I stood in for
name dropper over here. Jesus, oh my god.
Just like, but you know, it's like people like that, like Samuel Jackson, where you can just like sit and watch them, and just completely be like mesmerized. Like, what are you doing that you know that got you to that position? So for me, it's just like if I'm doing stand-in work or even just background work, I'm just watching the actors.
You're learning.
I'm learning as much as I can. There's no better place to learn acting than like on set. On the set, yeah. And from actors that you kind of, you know,
admire.
Grow up admiring. So it's like, for me, I just look at it as a master class of just learning as much as I can. So hopefully when I'm in that position, I'll be like, oh, I got this in the bag. Yeah.
That's so cool. I mean, I'm like, even for me, like, maybe you don't feel that you have made it, and there's definitely places that you want to go in your career, but I'm like so interested in this just because like a lot of people haven't even made it this far, like in their acting career, where they're like, where there's consistent work even around other auditions and stuff, where you can kind of be getting closer and learning more and just being able to really absorb like a lot of the time, I guess.
Which I think I recognize, because a lot of my friends in LA, they say I'm very thankful. They say you're in such a farther position than most actors in LA, who most of them are still just like struggling to find like an agent or a manager or just a good team, and just to be able to build connections with people that would, you know, take them further, or just like in terms of like screenwriting, you have all these mentors. And I'm like, yes, I take.
Name drop
I think I exceeded my limit. She knows who I'm talking about.
I know, that's why I was like, that's what I thought you were talking about before. So when you said another name, I was like, oh, okay, Dylan, you have a couple. That's so funny. That's so funny.
Yeah. So like mentors that I look up to and who see something in me, so that keeps me going while I'm still struggling to.
Well, I'm gonna be like, I knew him when he was in my living room, but I'm also gonna be really famous, so you'll say that too. So like it works out.
I guess I have a question for you.
Okay.
Okay,
turn it around.
Since being in LA, how would you, I guess, describe success as making it, or in terms of just like how would you
my version of that?
Your version of success. Okay, I'm always interested in people.
It's so funny because that's literally a question I have written. Oh,
yeah,
like I literally have that exact question written down.
I always ask everybody this.
But like that is something that I wonder because it's so personal. For example, I asked someone on the talk show that I host, and he's a musician, and he's like, I want to tour because that means that people want to see me around the country, around the world, and that means my music has spread. And like that was his definition of success. I thought that like that was really cool because it's so personal to the person. And I think mine is like the reason I do this stuff and the reason I just am the way I am is because I love people. Like that's the only thing that has driven me in all spheres of my life. Like for example, the only class I've ever liked, like the first class I ever liked was AP Psychology, because we started with social psychology and we talked about like cults and how people are like driven by different things and the bystander effect, and I was like, wow, this makes so much sense because I see all these things in my daily life, and like that was the only school topic that like kept my attention and kept me wanting to learn more. And it's just like if I can be successfully continually meeting people, and it's like through my work, because like at one job you only have a certain number of coworkers, etc., and they're awesome, but it's like that's kind of the only people you have. But if I was able to do this for a living and continually hear people's stories and share them and then help inspire more people to like jump into their own stories and to take control of their stories, and like to be in any part of that process to me would be your success. Like,
oh, that's beautiful.
And getting paid for it. Like, if I get paid,
you gotta make your bills.
Yeah, I'm like, because then I don't have to do my other job. I can just like I was doing
just
this
solely focus on this as
a career, as like a story sharer. Like I want to share people's stories because I'm like, what other powerful way to, because we all are so ingrained in our own experience because we're with ourselves 24/7, and like we learn so much through those experiences. Like I'm learning so much just from hearing like this tidbit of your 26 years on this earth, and it's like, what if all these tidbits just helped other people's experience, like live their experience to the fullest, because we only have, for as far as we know, one, and I'm like, I want to be living it to the fullest, and I want everyone else to too. So yeah, that would be beautiful. What's yours? We'll skip ahead.
My definition of success, and I think it changed, because I used to define success as just like, I guess I'm still figuring it out, but success is just like making it. You know, you make it to a certain level, and not materialistically, but just like you're like, oh, I have a name for myself. This is success. What I've learned talking to people, because I always ask people like, what do you define as success? I think it's just like feeling internal foundation of just like happiness. Like, oh, this is like, I'm in such a good place in my life. Not materialistically, but just like I get to wake up every day. I get to go to set. I get to act. I get to do what I love. And I think for me that would be the definition of success. Just because I feel so, it's just like a sense of like happiness. So
I think it helps that you also know what it is that you love.
Yeah.
Like, because then it's like, if I can do this, if this can be my job, my career, like
yeah.
I've loved it before it made me any money.
Mm-hmm.
I've loved it before
when
any of the
struggling.
like I've loved it after every no, after every yes.
Yeah.
So it's like, if after 10 years, for example, you've been doing this for over 10 years trying to get auditions in LA, you're still doing it and loving it, like, the chances of that changing get smaller and smaller every day.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And like you said, I don't know what else I would do because I just love this so much. So I think that makes so much sense.
Yeah, yeah. Since you made it so far, you kind of realize, like, that's it. Like, you know, I'm not gonna give up this far in. I put in 10 years of my life to just give up at the very end, saying this is not gonna work out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's honestly, since I know what makes me happy, just being able to get into that place of being like, okay, now I can wake up and, you know, go to set and act and be able to do films with the actors that I love.
Yeah.
You know, or be able to tell stories that I'm just like deeply in love with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's also why I got into screenwriting, because it's like,
why not write, like, telling those stories?
Yeah, I think it was like after 10 years I was like, this has been a while. What if I start making scripts for myself or trying to start telling stories? So yeah. So
in this, like, journey that has been going on almost 20 years, if you think about your first when you were 8, just like acting in general.
Yeah.
Like, and then also just in the more professional journey of being an actor, what for you has been like one of the main highlights of this whole thing? Like, whether it was a role or just a feeling or an opportunity, like what like what's one thing you like look back, you're like, yes, like that one, whatever that is.
God, it's been so long. I'm so old. I haven't really thought about it.
I sent you pre-interview questions. What do you mean you haven't thought about it?
I guess in terms of if I've been doing this for so long, I think it's just the drive that keeps me going. Mm-hmm. Okay, I will say I just like a couple weeks ago I auditioned for Julliard, and I never thought that I would audition for Julliard or want to audition for Julliard, but I was at the stage again in my career where I was like, it's been 10 years, like maybe I should go back to school. Mm-hmm. So I auditioned for Julliard, and I made it to callbacks and I made it to personal interviews, and I think that was a moment in itself where I was like, all right, well, I didn't make it to the final callback, but out of 17,000 people who auditioned nationwide, only 104 of us got callbacks. So then from 104, they narrowed it down to 50. And then from 50, that's when they narrowed it down to 18. But then I was like, all right, if I had made it that far for Julliard, then maybe maybe
there's something here,
you know, because like even like Adam Driver, he didn't make it the first time, but the second time he auditioned, he got it. Mm-hmm. So it's just one of those things where it's like, all right, if I can audition for Julliard and make it that far, then at least I know I can act. I'm secure.
Like you're not just like totally.
Yeah, because before I was like, man, I'm going into these auditions rooms, I'm getting some callbacks, but I'm not booking. Mm-hmm. Maybe I suck. Maybe I'm
totally
just
plausible. Yeah, like right. You have to. If you think you're awesome, you also have to think you suck. Like, just like you have to kind of even it out as like an equal possibility potentially. Yeah,
maybe there's something that I've been missing.
Yeah.
So I was like, if Julliard knows how to tell who a good actor is, and then maybe, so I went to the audition and I got the callback. I was like, okay, maybe I'm not bad. Maybe there's something still there.
And even at the point where it didn't culminate in like a final offer, it's like just those non-rejections in the beginning say like it's like 17,000 to 104.
104
like,
people.
Okay, I don't want to take those odds like any day, and like but those odds were in your favor because of your talent. Like you didn't bribe them. You didn't do anything else but show up. College admission scandal part 4. I can only say that because I went to Stanford, and it happened there. Anyway, so like it's kind of just the like. You auditioned. You went in there. You just showed what you got, and that was enough.
And I think that was like almost because I was just very. I think in that stage of my life I was insecure. I was just like, maybe I should just not. But I think that sort of confidence that I had, and it felt like a different energy in the room. I just felt like, oh yeah, that was a reassurance, even though it didn't plan out to me not going to Julliard. Maybe like I wasn't meant to go.
I was gonna say, maybe that's not.
That was 4 years.
Yeah, that you would have been auditioning.
That would have completely cut myself off from LA and my whole team, and just been in New York, just studying at Julliard. So I was like, things happen for a reason.
Yeah,
so,
maybe that opportunity in your career is gonna be the time you tell back that, like, that's when I needed a little more confidence.
Yeah.
And just to go back out on this rejection circuit until that yes comes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was the refuel that I needed, because now I can walk into auditions rooms.
Oh, did you know
that? Call back from Julia. I mean,
few name drops, few money slips, and bam.
I mean, I'm good. Like, I got a call back from Julia. So I think that's at least that small phase in my journey, I was like the reassurance I needed to be like, keep going. You got this.
Yeah.
You just need to keep pushing and don't give up.
And that's huge. And I feel like you maybe didn't expect that opportunity to turn into that. Because, like, for example, had you been in that rejection, it just would have been like another no. And like another, I mean, a way more understandable no, because 17,000 people. Yeah, it's like, you're not even like really mad when you don't get it.
I'm not even mad about it. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can deal with this.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like those things that refuel you, even if it's like that stand-in role, but you're standing in behind Samuel Jackson. It's like those things that you see and you're like, yes. Like, I know this is still it, because yes, this excites me.
Yeah. I think I catch myself doing that when I'm standing in, because I find myself. I know I was telling you about my friend who got a series regular. Mm-hmm. Before, I would stand in for most of the shows that he did. So now he's like, usually he would get like recurring roles or like small little roles. I would always like stand in for him. Like, we would always like meet up, and I would always have to be like standing in for him. So now he got a series regular. I'm like, oh, it is possible. And you're so close, because we look the same. We have the same height. We have everything. So it goes to show, you're still in this. You're close to something, but sometimes certain things work out for certain people because that's their path. Yeah. So my path is completely different from my friend's path.
And thank God for that, right?
Thank God
it's
for
like
that.
You don't
I don't
want to be on the. It's not a lot of room on the same path sometimes.
Yeah,
like, it's like you kind of need your own things, no matter how similar you are, because that's just how this. It's just how it works. It's also how it works best. Yeah. Like, for everyone. Yeah,
and I think I needed some, like, this journey has taught me a lot about that. It's like, it's okay to have the same path. Because before, I would look at my friends and be like, oh, they're booking this, or like her career skyrocketed to that, and I'm still here. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? But it's like, people have different paths. Some people get their breaks 20 years in, 10 years in, or just even a year in. But it's just like, chill. Something's supposed to happen when it's supposed to happen. Yeah. Just like, let it be. So.
And you may have honestly already touched on this kind of in just what you said already, but what is the hardest part of this whole thing?
The whole acting thing?
Yeah, just like any of it.
The persistence to keep going. Because sometimes, you deal with a lot of, what do you call those? When you're in your mind a lot of insecurities. Yeah. Insecurities. I think insecurities is the hardest thing. And then also dealing with, I get this because, like, audition, you get a lot of anxiety. So dealing with anxiety and being like, oh my God, like, sometimes it's so crippling where I go into a room and I can't even remember the lines that I memorized the night before, because it's just like so crippling. And then also realizing that, once you make it to a certain level, there's 10 times more steps that you have to do. Like, the anxiety is gonna get 10 times worse. But at least in those moments when it wasn't, you learn how to work yourself out of that. And then once you get to that stage of like a different level of success or whatever it might be, fame or whatever it might be, you have a new way to swim through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's like the biggest thing for me is like learning how to deal with my anxiety. And then
it's like anxiety that naturally builds up, but what also builds up is the resistance to it, because to be successful and to not let it hold you back, you have to figure out ways to combat it and fight it, and either use it to work in your audition or just something so it's not a barrier.
Yeah.
Like another barrier into an already hard thing to break into. Yeah.
It's not something that's holding you back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And learning, I think, learning how to get over that. Because the thing with acting is you can't really have anxiety. When you go into an audition room, a casting director can just like instantly see it. I'm just like,
like trying to breathe,
and armpit sweating.
It's a confident. I mean, there's like, I feel like being confident you can play the role is like a part of it.
Yeah, and I think it's different once you go into a room and that role is meant to be yours. There's like a certain like spiritual, godly thing that comes over you where it just shines, where people can see it like, oh, this person
like,
is
who else but
him
play this
exactly,
like the way that they envision it, the way that you play it lines up so perfectly,
it's
just how it is.
Just how it's supposed to be. Because I've been on the other side, because I directed a short film. So I've been on the other side of the audition room and seeing people come in, and it's just like somebody might be bad, but it's like even though they're bad, they're like, this person is
the role.
This is the role that's meant for you.
Yeah.
You know, you might have flubbed your lines, but
like when it happens, because you come in with, when you're on the other side, you have a vision.
Yeah.
And it's like, as an actor, you don't know if your like little quirks or choices are that person's, like, so it's just like just do them, because they could be exactly what that person's like. Yes, I always imagine that character twitching on that line.
Exactly.
I have no idea.
And I think it's something that just overcomes you, because what I used to do before going into an audition room, because you get like you go in for say like 13 Reasons Why, and I think before I would always try to give them what I thought they wanted.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing that I could ever do.
One you can never figure out. Like, you have no idea.
You have no idea.
And you guessing is tailoring away from your natural instinct. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would always try to figure out, how would they want me to play it? But then some Oprah aha moment was like, no, bro, just play it as yourself. Play it as... It's going to be
the most natural thing for you to play anyway.
Exactly. And people gravitate towards that, more of that natural aspect. But before, I think that's where I fucked up so many of my I was like, what do they want? What are they trying to... How can I get them?
I mean, that's good advice outside of the acting world, and this may tie into my last question for you, but it's like just the fact that a lot of times I think people try to curate their like interview or audition or like whatever it is to what the person wants, but it's like most likely it's best to be yourself, because if they don't want you, that's better for both of you. Because like if you put on this persona and that's what they hire, and then you have to either show up as that persona every day, that's another form of burnout that is just like a part, or not even a part of like the normal job, but it's like show up as yourself, and if those two things align, like better, like that is where your actual harmonious path is going to be. Yeah.
That's where the gold is.
Yeah.
Because now it's more of like, now that my acting teachers always say, come into the room, or when you're studying the role, put yourself, your true self into the role, because that's what makes you different from everybody else. Because you as yourself are not like anybody else.
You can't, it's impossible.
But when you try to play the stereotypical idea of how it's supposed to be, that's when it becomes
500 other people doing that.
That's when it becomes like very generic. But you see the world differently from everybody else. So if you come into the room as that, as yourself, as imagining the way the character sees this world, that reads off more relatable than a generic idea of like, oh, how is this character, like, what do they want from this character?
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, so that's honestly very true.
So I guess my last question, and okay if it's already been said, is what advice would you have for someone who wants to be an actor, wants to even just break into this industry, but kind of just more in either like the acting, directing sphere of it? What would you tell them? Or even another way to ask that, what would you have wanted to know?
Oh, when I was...
yeah, like there's a lot of different... Boy. When you were 8.
When I was 8. I would say don't wait for somebody to give you an opportunity.
I love that.
You cannot wait for somebody, especially in our current digital age. You have such just an array of items to create your own content. And before, I would seriously just wait at my computer waiting for my agent to send me an audition, and I was like, no. As a certain point came in my life where I was like, I have an imagination. I have the ability to tell stories. It's gonna require me to put in some work and like understand how to write a screenplay, understand how to write a character arc, understand how to just have a structure of a screenplay. I have to put in that work, but at least I know I'm doing something that I would, be proud of and put out in the world and, attach myself to it. But a lot of people, I think they wait for their opportunity to come, and, they just kind of like stand by, just like, you can't do that. I mean, and if you're determined and you want to make it, you gotta be going. Yeah,
that is like literally this entire project for me. Because for a long time, I'm like, I'm so talented. I'm so personable. Someone's just gonna see something that I post one day, and then boom, like there we go, next talk show. I'm like, and then I really thought about it, and I was like, chances of that happening? Not that there's not a chance. It's really still a chance, fucking low.
But it's very low.
Really fucking low. Yeah. And why leave your like fate up to chance if you have the tools or you have the ideas or like you have like before I started this project, I would like literally come home from work and like probably get high and like watch some TV and like go on social media for like a long time and then like, oh, it's 1 a.m. Cool, like let me go to bed. And that was good for my first couple months here because I was getting situated. I mean, it's only been 6 months. I give myself a break, but like it was good for a little bit. Yeah. And then I was like, there's a lot more hours of the day, and there's a lot of things I want to do, and I have a lot of goals. Yeah. I was like, what if I started putting those hours? Yeah, that energy, like that's this time that I have. What if I just started thinking of things to do that went towards that? And it started. My New Year's resolution was to do one creative thing a day. Whether that was like a TikTok or an Instagram, like whatever it was, improv. It was just like one thing a day that's quote unquote creative. And it led to me like making like mini videos on my phone. And then I was like, oh, I kind of miss editing. And I was like, oh, what if I started up this and then like now we're here. And I'm like that I just wanted to do again because I was like, I need to get in the habit of doing and I need to keep doing. Yeah. And
I think we talked about this last time is like a lot of people in LA stay stagnant in their own world and they don't put enough time into trying to get themselves further. Yeah. So that's good that you like realize like, oh shit, like that's if I'm going to get somewhere, it's going to be.
And why not be at the helm of it?
Yeah. Like yeah.
Yeah, someone can find you, but then you're pretty much up to their will of how they want you to be. Yeah. Versus if you write your own screenplay, that's your that's your project. Yeah. And like it feels better too when you put in the work for something and then it gets recognized versus like my video went viral and that can be so like an instant and then it's gone.
Yeah. And like, you have to know how to keep up with it. Yeah. And I think Issa Rae was one of the inspirations in that because she had started Awkward Black Girl. Yeah, and to see her kind of turn that small little web series into an empire. And now she's doing, everything and anything. I was like, you can just like sit at your table and allow the ideas to flow, and that single idea that you get from the universe, from God, whatever it might be the one thing that, will just like take your life to a whole new level. So you have to just be so just in tune with like really listen to yourself, like, oh, what is that thing, and have that idea, and then work on it.
Execute.
Gotta put in the work.
Yeah, that's I think a lot of people think, and I think one of the reasons I wanted to start this is because I wanted to make it a little more attainable for people to execute. Because I'm like, how, like, what is someone our age or a little bit younger who wants to do this? Like, hearing from someone like this, like you, where it's like you're a working actor. To a lot of people, you've made it, like, to like yourself, like you still have to go, but it's just nice to hear, like, this is kind of what my life is like, and this is like the highs and the lows, and this is like the in-betweens, because it's like, okay, getting a little bit more prepared to make that execution, to make that jump when you have more information, because it's scary. It's scary to follow your passions, but like, it's so worth it.
It's worth it. Yeah, I think people get turned off by the amount of hard work you have to put in. Because I tell you, when I was writing that screenplay, there was many times where I was like, I don't think I'm gonna keep on doing this, because you really have to put in the work. You know, you really, and you know, you're staying up until 3.
We both are. We're like texting each other. I was like, one day I was like, hey Dylan, why are you up? And you were like, wait, why are you up? I'm like, yeah, we're just working.
Putting in work.
Like, I really, that's what I have to do, because I have to work during the day on this to pay the bills, and then if I want this to pay the bills one day, I have to work on this at night.
And it's crazy that you know, I think people just get completely just, they can't fathom that idea of like, you have to put in this work.
I think it also, sorry.
You put to make it.
Like, and I think, because I have been that person before, and I'm not saying that this is my idea that's going to catch fire and that this may be it. Like, I may have to think of something else one day to just keep going. But I think, and I got this advice from an earlier podcast that I did with Derek Hardy, with my brother's manager, but he said, when I asked him what his advice would be, he said, you have to be passionate about it. Like, because there's gonna be the days where you're putting in 14-hour, like, there's gonna be the shitty days, but if it's for acting, or if it's for his case, music, if it's for my case, people, like, I can do it, like, because I can propel myself, because it's just what I love so much that it kind of overrides the less glamorous parts of this whole thing. Like, the filming of this is kind of the easy part for me. It's the editing. It's the editing. Behind the scenes. It's the editing. Yeah. That is the fuck part. But it's all worth the creation and the content and putting it out. So it's like, and if it wasn't something I was so passionate about it, I couldn't stay up till 3 a.m. every day. I couldn't do it.
You completely disconnect.
I would burn out.
Yeah. Because if it's something that you're not passionate about, you're like, oh, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Why am I even, you know? Because even like stories, that when they say write the stories you know or want to tell. Right now, if I was writing a story just because I, you know, think that this would be a great move for my career, it would completely flop. I wouldn't finish it because it's like, I'm not passionate about this story.
Versus this medieval, you were saying, I didn't see this and I want this, and like, even if not for me as an actor, for someone or for the world.
For the world,
like,
you have to be passionate about it, because if you're not, then it's just gonna die out really fast.
I totally agree.
And I think even like in terms of like acting, people going into acting, I guess the younger generation now, Gen Zs or in general, I don't know where we are.
He had to label
these young kids.
These millennials.
But a lot of people who go now, I guess in the digital age, want to be actors for the fame and for the success. They don't realize that, you know, being an actor requires 14, 15, 16 hours on a set, saying the same thing over and over again, running your lines, you know, preparing for a role, like 3-4 months for a role.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a lot of work. But what they see is the glitz and the glamour.
Yeah, the premiere.
The premieres, the red carpets. I'm like, yo, that's just like...
That's one day.
What? That's one day.
Out of sometimes months, years depending on how long the project is.
Yeah. You're like, you promote the film, but like those days of hard work, you have to be passionate.
Yeah.
To be like, all right, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, we're still on the same scene that we started with, like, 6 hours ago.
How do you bring that energy to each take?
Bring the energy to each take, know how to keep yourself going, because you have to be passionate about it. So it's like people who get into this business of being an actor for the wrong reason, you're like,
good
you
luck.
wait until you get on set and you'll find out what it's really about.
So before I let you go, I want to hit you with some, what we call extra questions. Just kind of some fun little tidbits. So, What is your favorite Disney movie?
Ooh. No, Tarzan.
Tarzan?
I grew up watching Tarzan.
Like, what about it do you love?
It was the film that when I was still in Uganda that we had a VHS of, and I just watched it like almost every day after school. And I think it's just like, first of all, it's Africa, and it's Tarzan and the music and everything. And I watched it again for the since a very long time.
Yeah,
it hit.
I watched it like 2 months ago too for some reason. I don't know why, and it was so good.
I think I just watched it like last month.
Like it was like. Oh,
it hit.
The beginning alone, I'm
yes, it hit, and I didn't realize that as a kid, but now I was like, wow, this is deep.
Next question, chess or checkers?
Chess. I was like, what is chess? Checkers, chess.
Chess? Why?
I just played it all the time as a kid with my sister and my mom.
I happen to be asking you all these childhood
memories.
I'm like, yeah, wow.
My character bio.
What? Okay, if I go to your hometown, like what food or restaurant do I have to try?
Oh, like my hometown, like Tucson, like where I was raised?
Any.
So I'd say if you go to Uganda, you would have to try, I mean, there it's all just local food, but I always eat chicken tonight, which is like chips and chicken.
Chips like fries?
Fries.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to know what steps of
Lays, Doritos. No, chips and chicken, like French fries.
Yeah.
French fries and chicken.
And then if I go to Tucson?
Tucson, I would say EG's. EG's is like, no, yeah, you guys, I don't think you guys have. EG's is like a sort of Subway, but their main thing is called the EG, which is like a slushy. Like a frozen slushie. That's
I love frozen slushies.
Yeah. And then they also have like ranch fries with bacon on top of them.
So there's like a good junk food.
Yeah.
Like feel good while you eat it, maybe feel bad later, but it's worth it. It's
in the moment. You
don't think about that.
Yeah.
Well, Dillon Daniel Mutyaba, thank you so much for coming on It Doesn't Happen Overnight. For everyone listening and watching, please make sure to tune in next week for whatever guest I bring on. Thank you guys for listening. Bye.
That was fun. What a success.
That was really fun. I had a blast. That was a good one to end on.
We'll be right back.